Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Vinyl Talk with Tavis. And I'm Tavis. Today was the day. I went to go see the Aretha Franklin movie called Respect. People, I am still emotional. Right now it's raining here in Kansas City, Missouri. Just when I left the theater, it started pouring down rain. I don't know. Is that a sign? Is Aretha crying? People, what a fantastic film. Jennifer Hudson, girl, she acted her ass off. Y'all need to see that film if you have not. Okay, so I took a few notes. So, Aretha Franklin, she specifically chose Jennifer Hudson to play as Aretha Franklin. Now, you know Aretha Franklin has passed away. And so here we are in 2021. Crazy pandemic still going on. We're wearing masks. Life is just a mess, it seems. We have so many people against each other. Some people are wearing masks. People are not. There's a lot of hoopla going on. And then I go into this theater and I'm wearing my mask and I take it off and I watch this. I haven't watched a film in a long time. I haven't went to a movie theater since the pandemic, okay? So I go into this place and I am overwhelmed by the film. People, it is so great. If you have not seen it, I suggest that you see the film Respect. It is awesome. In the theater, there were a few people there. It wasn't loaded, it wasn't a lot of people there. But I have some things to say about it. Okay, so it features Jennifer Hudson as Aretha Franklin. Perfecto. She was the perfect fit for Aretha Franklin. Perfect. You have Forrest Whitaker as Aretha Franklin's father, the Reverend C.L. Franklin. We have Audra McDonald, who is Aretha's sister, Barbara. Then we have Irma Franklin, who's played by Sekon Sinblo. I hope I'm saying that right. And Carolyn Franklin, Haley Kilgore. Brenda Franklin, Brenda Nicole Moore. Marlon Wayans. He was awesome. We're so used to seeing Marlon Wayans in the Wayans brothers, in Living Color. We're so used to seeing him being funny and crazy and outrageous. He was just intense. He was awesome as Aretha Franklin's, I think, boyfriend, husband, manager. He was Ted White in the film. We have Mark Maron as Jerry Wexler. Okay, the record producer, manager, all of that. Titus Burgess plays Reverend James Cleveland, and I was really shocked at his performance. To me, his performance left a lot to be desired. But we'll talk about that later, okay? And we have Mama Franklin as Kimberly Scott. Cecil Franklin, which is Aretha Franklin's brother. Leroy McLean played him. And I don't want to get in too much detail. And the young Aretha Franklin is played by Sky Dakota Turner. But I took some notes as I was watching the film because I just felt like there was just so much to digest. Mary J. Blige plays as Dinah Washington. Hold on, let me see if this is true. Mary J. Oh, Mary J. You came out of nowhere. You You showed up and showed out in your part. It was awesome. What I got from this film is that, there's so much that happens behind the scenes. We, artists, I say we, but major famous artists, they package their art, they record their music, and all we see and all we hear is the music and the artwork, and we just digest that and listen and look at the artwork and read. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know. And so tonight, when I watched that film, there was so much more that was revealed to us. And I don't know if this actual script was approved by Aretha. If you know, put it in the comments below. However, I learned so much more about Aretha and her family and the dynamics of the situation of her life and music career. I can say that this film only goes up to 1972, from her being a child up until she does this album, the Amazing Grace album. Okay? So the film is about redemption. It's about going through hard times, when she was young in her teenage years. Her preacher, her father, who's a preacher, Reverend C.O. Franklin, it shows in the film that he is a smoker and a drinker. I never knew that. And I love his sermons. He's awesome. But in the film, he's drinking and he's smoking. Forrest Whitaker did a great job. He was awesome. He even looked like C.O. Franklin. The crazy things that happened in the house of the Franklins. I mean, he had all the famous stars would visit him. There was such a touching moment when Aretha Franklin was younger. Her mother would sing to her on the piano. So many touching moments. Aretha loved her mother. And you see that touching moment. You see those moments in the film where she really cherishes her mother, and her mother dies. And Aretha's very young at this point. Dad did not... Well, okay, so it shows some parts in the film where Aretha's father is preaching. Now, people, if you have not heard Aretha's father preach, he was completely awesome. He was a preacher, there's no doubt. His voice, oh, Lord, and I want to say Jesus. Okay, so Forrest Whitaker, I don't know who was directing that, but you did not do good with the preaching. I did not feel that at all. So that was a negative. So goodbye to that. The trial period is over for you being a preacher. You can't preach. But I know that Reverend C.O. Franklin is he was an awesome minister, an awesome preacher. When there are church moments happening in the film, you just really feel it, And when I was watching the film, it felt like it was a family member. I was born in 72, the same time that this album came out. So I've been aware of Aretha Franklin since I was 6, 7. That's when I really came to awareness of music. And I tell you what, watching that film, it felt like I was watching the film of a family member, because I was crying throughout the whole film. I was just in tears. I'm a Cancer. I'm a July guy. So I was very emotional. I was in my feelings, and I just felt it. Man, it felt good to let that all out. James Cleveland, the Reverend James Cleveland, famous gospel. They call him the king of gospel. And there's a lot of history with him, but I won't go into details. You can look it up on the internet, but he's considered the king of gospel, and he gave Aretha Franklin piano lessons. He taught her how to play chords and things like that. And so she was an awesome pianist. And it's very, very, very obvious in all the early music that she did. I'm looking at my notes here, everybody. This is unedited. I'm not going to edit this. The thing that James Cleveland told Aretha in the film, he says, music will save your life. Now, listen to this. Aretha Franklin was pregnant early on in her life, like in a teenage years, early. Now there's been some talk. Lord, please forgive me. There was talk that Aretha was probably impregnated by her father, Reverend C.O. Franklin. Now that's what I have heard, and even in the movie theater, people were telling me, because listen, in the middle of the film went crazy. It was showing the film went goofy. There was other parts playing within the film, like two things happening at once, and we were all upset in the theater. We walked out. We were saying we want our money back. In fact, do I have it with me? They gave us a refund. Oh, here it is. Yeah. They gave us a guest readmit pass because we were going to leave, because things were acting crazy with the screen. We were so upset. It was getting so good. The juicy stuff was happening. And we all left. And I kind of walked back in, and it was cool. I'm like, okay. It was like 25, 30 minutes of craziness on the screen. But I walked back in, and things were okay. So Martin Luther King and Aretha Franklin have a great relationship. That was a beautiful, the scenes with them were just awesome. Well, when she first started her career as a singer, they wanted her to do jazz, and that just wasn't suiting her vibe, because she would always put that church in it, and it just wasn't right. You know, it's like singing the way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea. But Aretha, the way you wear your hat, oh Lord. You know, she wanted to put that soul in it, and so it wasn't really mixing with what they wanted her to do. So she had to be herself. And the movie shows how she became herself. She became who she really was, and it's all about redemption. All about redemption. Mary J. Blige plays Dinah Washington, and so Aretha Franklin is doing a concert, and Dinah Washington is in the audience. So Aretha gives tribute to Dinah, singing one of her songs, and Dinah has a hissy fit in the audience. I never knew. Who would know? Who would know that? Did Aretha, did she certify this script? Did she okay this script? Y'all, Mary J. Blige played her ass off in that film. She says, you don't be singing my songs. You sing your own songs. That was delicious. That was some delicious scenery right there. And then I write that Aretha Franklin has an early pregnancy. Who's the father? Blah, blah, blah. Her daddy was very involved in her career. And it's amazing how I really want to know if Aretha really certified this script, because her daddy, who was a reverend, was very involved in her career, and had his thumb on her. He was just right in her life at all times. She was just cramped because he was always saying what she could and couldn't do. Her daddy even hit her. Oh my God, Jesus. He hit her. He slapped her in the face. I tell you, that was a scene right there. And she was taking so many takes during her recording sessions, doing these jazz sessions that they wanted her to be involved in. But she had to be herself. Another thing that was great about this film was that it was good to see Black love. It was good to see a Black woman and a Black man intimate. There's some scenes with Jennifer being Aretha, and she's involved with men, and the scenes were so loving, and they were having sex, but it was good to see that. As a Black man, I felt that was just beautiful for me. I love seeing that. You don't see that physical thing between two Black people. Now, y'all white folks might be thinking that this is crazy, but that's how I feel. And I'm not going to edit this video. I'm going to keep it as is, and it's already 17 minutes. Aretha Franklin was abused by the men that she saw and the men that she dated. She was abused. They did not treat her. She let the men control her life, in a sense, at an early time in her life. And there's a gospel singer by the name of Clara Ward, very famous, well-known gospel singer, and her and C.O. Franklin, there are some innuendos in that movie that suggests, that presumes that they were very, 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 very close. Now, it doesn't go into detail about how close they were, but the innuendos suggest that they did things. And there were parties and get-togethers, and look, I'll just leave it at that. But Clara Ward was well known for her gospel singing, with lots of makeup, with her girl group behind her, the Clara Ward and the Ward Singers, high wigs. They sang at the Playboy Mansion. It's on YouTube. Check it out. Just type Playboy Clara Ward. So now it makes sense to me, because watching this film makes sense. The mama left. Aretha Franklin's mother left early. She left C.O. Franklin early on. I wonder why. The making of the song Respect, which was by Otis Redding, that whole scene of how they put it together was awesome. When Aretha Franklin is at the piano, Otis Redding, he had recorded Respect, but Aretha Franklin was singing it because she wanted respect in her life. And she's playing the piano, and her sisters are asleep, and they get up, and she's giving them the parts, the background parts, and they're singing respect just a little bit. It's just so awesome how that came together, and it became an anthem for women to be respected. Beautiful, beautiful part in the movie. The recording of Ain't No Way, man, I cried during that. People, I can't tell you how wonderful this film is. It's wonderful. Aretha was very involved with civil rights, with Martin Luther King. I put in my notes here that Jennifer is just awesome. I cried so much. Wayans is awesome. In the Time magazine put down something that she was beaten. she's having these interviews, and people are saying, well, you're in Time magazine, and how do you feel about that? And Aretha doesn't really know what the Time magazine article is about on her life, but she just says, I'm just so honored to be in Time magazine. I don't know what it's talking about, but I'm glad to be a part. And they say, well, is it true that you're being beaten by men, your boyfriend or whoever is beating you? And she's like, what? What? But it was true. She was being beaten. And they found out, and they put it in the magazine, and she didn't know that they had wind of that. So that was a great scene. My God. So she gets rid of Ted, her husband and manager or whatever, and then she sings at Martin Luther King's funeral. Oh my God, I tell you, I cried on that one. Woo, Lord, she sings. Oh, she's Jennifer Hudson. I'm hoping that this movie has a soundtrack with Jennifer Hudson singing, because she really does a great job singing. I'm hoping that it has a soundtrack. The relationship with her family was really just like with everybody. You know, we all have our issues with our family because they know you the best, and you can be as talented as you can be, but yet your family knows you at your core, and they can put you in your place, you know. So Aretha was not having it. There was a scene in which she just tells her sisters, get out of my house. So I've been there, you know, all of us have been there, where you get so tired of your family. It's like, there's so much to do. There's so much issues. There's so many things going on, and I just want to be bothered with y'all. Get out. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be eating, you know, because Aretha, she was doing her thing in the late 60s, 70s. And so she was taking care of her family financially. Wow. I wrote here that I didn't know that her dad smoked, and I didn't know that he was a drinker. And I didn't know that Aretha Franklin was really like an alcoholic early in her career, in the late 60s and early 70s. And it shows in the film that she like becomes unconscious during a concert. She just blacks out because she's drinking so much. So I didn't know that she was an alcoholic early on in her career. But her mom, Aretha has a vision of her mom saving her. At night, Aretha's just drinking and drinking and drinking, and her mom comes in a vision and puts the alcohol down and just hugs her and starts singing Amazing Grace, and gives Aretha the idea to go back to gospel music, to come home to where it all started, with her father having her to sing before he would preach. So she decided to just do a gospel album in 71, 72, and just give back to what led her to sing in the first place. And she calls on James Cleveland to help her, the person who gave her piano lessons when she was a child. And he obliges, and then she starts recording the album. And she's singing. And then it cuts to Aretha Franklin singing. As it's ending, it cuts to Aretha Franklin singing for President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama at the Kennedy, the Kennedy, what do you call it? Is it the Kennedy Center Honors? Let me make sure. I think it is. People, I'm tired and it's been a long day. The Kennedy Center, the Kennedy Center Honors. And Aretha sings for Who does she sing for? What's that woman's name? Jesus. Help me, Lord. Y'all gonna hate this video. Yeah, she sings for Carole King. You make me feel like a natural woman. And in the video, it shows like President Obama wiping his tears, but that ends the movie. And then you see the credits. Oh my God. People, I know I wasn't the only one crying. I was thinking about my daddy. I was thinking about all my past relatives who have passed, and because it's just beautiful. Because you go from hearing Jennifer Hudson singing Amazing Grace from this album, and then it cuts to Aretha Franklin singing You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and you hear the real Aretha Franklin, and you're just in tears. I was in tears. The power of the screen. The best movie I've seen this year. The only movie I've seen this year so far because of the pandemic. That's my spiel on the Respect movie. I think Jennifer Hudson absolutely deserves all the accolades that she will get with this movie. It is so good. And this is like a 30-minute video, my God. People, I hope that you have watched me until this point. I feel like I'm just going around and around. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not seen the Respect film featuring Jennifer Hudson, do it. You need to watch it. And as always, with music. Yes, Aretha. I love her. My God. So innocent. So that's when she was with her father singing before his sermons. It shows this. It shows this in the film. It shows her singing in Paris too. My God. This is the latest I've got of Aretha. Remember I showed you this color vinyl? It's not good. It doesn't sound good. The color vinyl sucks on that. With music and with Aretha Franklin. I'm not through yet. Hold on. Freeway of Love. It doesn't get to the 80s. It just stops at 72, but I'm still going to show this. Who's zooming who? Jump to it. Oh, yes. And just Aretha with I Knew You Were Waiting for Me with George Michael. With music and with Aretha. Be inspired and stay inspired.